How to create an online quiz activity in UVLê. This is a video demonstration about online quiz activity in UVLê. Please be reminded that this video assumes that a teacher knows the basic features of UVLê. The quiz activity is a relatively advanced feature. Please check our uploaded videos related to the basics of teaching with UVLê. To create an online quiz strategically, we recommend this three-part procedure. The first part involves building and organizing a question bank. The second part is setting up the quiz activity. This means setting up the conditions, time limit, what's the question behavior, do you randomize or shuffle questions, etc. It's just about setting up the conditions of the activity. And lastly, once you've set up the quiz activity, we can start inserting and arranging questions in the quiz activity. So I will show how to do these procedures one by one. So we'll start with part 1, followed by part 2, followed by part 3. Okay, let's begin with our video demonstration. Okay, so before we go to the demonstration part, I will first show you the features of an online quiz in UVLê. So I have here 2 sample quizzes. Okay, so sample quiz 1 is in adaptive mode. So what do we mean by adaptive mode? An adaptive mode type of quiz allows students to ask for feedback right after answering a particular item. So let me show you how that works. Okay. So here I have a sample question. Among the following choices, what IELTS Diliman service allows its users to create their own academic website. So the right answer there is pages.upd. Suppose a student doesn't know the right answer, he or she will guess. So let's say I'll guess UVLê. I can immediately ask for a feedback. And if I don't get it right, I can re-answer this particular item. Say, okay, I guess again, pages.upd, check. Okay, so in adaptive mode, you don't have to finish the entire quiz to get a feedback. Okay, so it works per item. Now the second sample quiz shows us a different question behavior. This time it's called deferred feedback. So online quizzes in deferred feedback mode will require students to complete the entire quiz before they get a feedback. Okay, so let me show you how that works. So just click this one. So as teacher, I can preview the quiz. Okay, so this one shows a feature of which allows you to set a password for particular quizzes. So you can do that later. And here there's a warning related to the time limit. So you can set the time limit of the quiz. There. So this is how it looks like. When you're answering a quiz with a time limit, you will see here the time left. And this is deferred feedback. So you can't ask for your feedback immediately after answering a question. So you have to finish the entire quiz before you can get a feedback. There. So I have here the feedback right after taking the quiz. Okay, of course, we could change that. The timeliness of the feedback after taking the quiz can be edited. The teacher can set when the student can receive a feedback from the quiz. So practically, that's the preview of the features of a quiz activity in UVLê. Okay, so this time I will show you how to build and organize your question bank. So that's the first part. Okay, so first things first, if you want to use an online quiz activity within the course page, you have to upgrade to full teacher features. So you have to click this again once you've clicked this button, you cannot go back to the basic teacher role. You will be able to see the advanced feature of UVLê right after clicking this button. So I'll just click this, proceed with upgrade. Right, so you may have to reload the page to see the effect. Okay, so now I don't have the button, I don't have the upgrade button. The first difference that you will notice is that under administration, okay, under course administration, you'll see much more links here. Okay, so you should be able to see question bank there. Okay, so again, we'll start with building the question bank. To build the question bank, the first step is to click administration, then click that arrow button beside question bank. Okay, and first things first, click categories. So question bank, then categories. So here I already have some pre-made questions and question categories. So when you're starting, you only have this one, the default category, and of course you don't have any questions in the question bank in the beginning. Okay, so what are question categories? Question categories are like folders. So within the folder you have questions, and just like your folders within your computer, you can have a subfolder, a folder within a folder. So for this case, I have here some subcategories and top categories. Okay, so it is important that you organize your questions in categories so that you will be able to optimize the features of an online quiz in UVLê. Okay, so for this case, my strategy for organizing the question categories is by topic, then by type of question. So my main category, the top category, is a topic, say topic 1, and then under a topic I group the questions by the type of question. Okay, so how do you create a new category? So just scroll down under add category. So you pick the parent category. If you want to construct a new top category, a new main category, just choose top for your course. Okay, so this will create a new top category. Say I'm going to create here topic 2. You can add some category info, some descriptions to guide you, and then click add category. There. So here, as you can see, I've created a new category. The number beside the category is the number of questions that is specifically located in this category. So currently I don't have a question that is under topic 02. Okay, let's add a subcategory. So you can create a subcategory. I just choose here topic 2. So this new category will be built under topic 2. So let's say subtopic 02 MC for multiple choice questions, and then click add category. So that's it. So that's the first step. When you want to build the question bank, you want to start with building your categories, organizing your questions well. Okay, so once you're done with creating categories, the next step is to populate questions within each category. So how do we construct a question, or how do we add a question under a category? So one way is you go to the categories, just like this one, and then click that number beside the category. So if you click this number, it will show you the question bank. So currently I don't have any questions under this category, and you see here the button create a new question. So I just click this, pick a question type, and then build the question. Right, so again, how do you add a question under a category? From the categories, click the number beside the category, and then click create a new question. Alternatively, you can also find this question list under administration. Then under question bank, just click questions. You'll be landing on the same page. Okay, so if I want to add a question, just click the category, then create the new question. Okay, so I will not demonstrate all of these questions. I will only show two types. No, so I'll show multiple choice and true or false. So let's start with multiple choice type questions. So let's create one. So just click this and click add. Alright. So to create a multiple choice type question, you just have to type a question name. The question name must be unique and strategically constructed so you can easily recognize what the question is about. So let's say this is ILC services question 1. And question text, just type in the question. Say the question is what service of ILC Diliman offers a conference management system? What service of ILC Diliman offers a conference management system, specifically an online conference management system? Okay. Next, you have to set the default mark. So the default mark is the default points that the student will earn if they got the correct answer 100%. So here I'll set it 1 point for a correct answer. You may set here a general feedback, so the student will be able to read this feedback upon finishing the quiz or upon finishing the question, depending on the question behavior. Scroll down. Okay, so for multiple choice questions, there are two variations. You can have a multiple choice question with one answer only, and it also allows a multiple choice question with multiple possible answers. So for this case, I'll just show the simpler version, the case where there's only one answer. Okay, so there's an option to shuffle the choices. This is we always recommend to shuffle the choices so that from student to student there are variations. You know, it will prevent some possibility of cheating may be prevented. Number the choices. So do you want to label your choices? So if it's online, I usually don't label the choices, since there's corresponding radio button that they have to click or a checkbox that they have to click. So labeling the choices is not really necessary. Next, okay, so this is a multiple choice questions. We have to set the choices. So the correct answer is conference.upd. So if it's the correct answer, you must give them 100%. So as you can see here, it allows partial points. So if you would like to set partial points in certain options, you may do so. So when we say here 100%, you get the 100% of the default mark. So if you set here 50%, you get the 50% of the default mark. Okay, so UVLE will return an error message if you forget to set one option with 100% grade. So at least one of those questions, or options, should have 100% grade. Okay, of course we have to add some other choices, say pages.upd. So none, no point for selecting this question. Okay, there's also an option for a negative grade. So if you're doing a right minus wrong type of quiz, you can definitely do that in UVLE. There you go. So if you leave a particular choice blank, it will not be included. So you can set less than 5 choices. You can set 3 choices, 2 choices. It's up to you. If you need more choices, you can add more fields for additional options. Okay, so that's the basics of creating multiple choice questions. I will not delve on the other fields. those fields or settings are enough to create a basic multiple choice type question. Yeah. So last step, don't forget to click Save Changes. There, so I've created one question under subtopic 2, multiple choice 1. So if you want to duplicate the question, so take note, you have here a duplicate icon. You want to preview the question, you have there the magnifying glass icon. So I can preview, this is how it will look like. You can test it if it's correct or not, if it's working well or not. And also you have other options like edit, this gear icon. And if you want to delete that question, just click this X icon. Okay, let's do another question. Let's say this time let's try to create a true or false type of question. So just click create a new question. Click true or false and click add. So same goes, you have to write a question name. See ILC services question 2. So what is the question text? What is the statement? UVLê has a feature for email notifications. True or false? Of course that's true. So the default mark again is the default points that you get when you get the correct answer. So the correct answer is true. Again, you have the general feedback or specific feedback for certain types of options. Now, if you want to explain the answer to the student, you just discuss it in the feedback fields. And that's it. That's the minimum requirement. Save changes. So practically the next step is to just populate the categories with many questions, so you have several options when building quizzes. Okay, so once done, you go back to the course page and we'll proceed to the next part of building a quiz. Okay, so now we'll proceed to part 2 of the 3-part procedure. Part 2 is about setting up the parameters, conditions of the quiz activity. So what's the first step? The first step is to add a new quiz activity. So to do that, do not forget to click turn on editing button. So that's in the upper right corner of your screen. So just click that green button. So now I'm in edit mode. So once you're under edit mode, just click add an activity or resource link under the topic where you want to put the quiz activity. So say I want to put it under topic 1. I just click this. So since we're now at the upgraded teacher role, we can see all of these many activities and resources in UVLE. Okay, so just look for quiz. So I have here quiz. Click that and then click add, or you may double click quiz. Okay, so once you've clicked add or double click quiz, it will land you on this page. So first you have to set a name for the quiz activity. So I'll name it sample quiz. Then description, usually I put here the instructions of the quiz. So say this is a timed quiz. Online quiz. Okay. So you may or may not put that on the description, or you may not display that on the course page. Okay, so after the general setting, you have to set the timing. So let's click timing. Alright, so you have their open and close. So practically that's the start and that deadline or due date of the quiz. So when will it open, when will it close? So if you don't click enable, then it's an open quiz anytime. It won't close anytime. So the student can immediately answer the quiz the moment you uploaded it. Okay? So I won't set this. Next is time limit. So we recommend to set time limit in online quizzes. It's one way of preventing students from cheating or going to other pages. Now, if there's time limit, there's pressure to answer questions as quick as possible. So let's say here, let's create a short quiz, a 5-minute quiz. Next, when time expires, so this is an important part of the settings, so you can always click the question mark. So this settings controls what happens if the student fails to submit their quiz attempt before time expires. If the student is actively working on the quiz at the time, then the countdown timer will always automatically submit that attempt for them. But if they log out, then this setting controls happens. So this applies if your student was disconnected and he or she was not able to return to finish the quiz. What will happen to his or her attempt? So by default, open attempts are submitted automatically. There are other options, like there's a grace period, meaning they have to come back and still click the submit button. And there's also a option, attempts must be submitted before time expires, otherwise they will their attempt will not be credited or will not be submitted. So I think the safest, it will be open attempts are submitted automatically. Now the grace period will only apply if you chose the second option. There's a grace period. So for this case, I'll choose open attempt. Next is grade. So you can set here grade to pass. The important part here is attempts allowed. How many times does the student can take the quiz? How many times does the student can take the quiz? If you're familiar with online courses, there are online courses that allows students to take a particular quiz activity several times. Then they usually have some aggregation rule for grading. So let's say you will allow them to answer up to 3 times. You can consider the highest grade, average grade, first attempt, or last attempt. If it's for formative assessment, it's a non-bearing activity, it's meant for practice, you can always choose unlimited. So I'll set it as unlimited, and I'll choose, let's say, the highest grade. Next is layout. So layout, how many questions per page by default? So let's say 3 questions per page. Next, question behavior. Okay, so do you want to shuffle within questions? Let's say it's a multiple choice question. Do you want to shuffle the options? Or if there are those elements within the question type that can be shuffled, so just click here yes to shuffle those elements. And then here, how questions behave. So I have shown you a while ago the 2 different types of quizzes, common types or common modes. You have the deferred feedback and the adaptive mode. So you have your adaptive mode and you have your deferred feedback. Now there are still other options, but I'll just focus on those 2, adaptive mode and deferred feedback. So for this case, I'll choose deferred feedback. Now the student has to complete the entire quiz before he or she could get a feedback. Review options. Now this is very important. Okay, what will happen during the attempt, immediately after, later while the quiz is still open, or after the quiz is closed? Okay, so by default this is the settings. So when it's not checked, it means the student cannot see the attempt. So for this case, by default, immediately after the attempt, the student will not be able to see the attempt. However, he or she will be able to see his score, the marks, the overall feedback, immediately after the attempt. Later, while the quiz is still open, same. And here, we don't have any check marks for after the quiz is closed, since we did not set a closing date for the quiz. Okay, so what's important here is if the quiz is an open quiz, there's no deadline, it's flexible in terms of date, you want to prevent leakage of questions. That's why you want to prevent them from viewing the attempt right after doing the quiz or later while the quiz is still open. Because if you allow students to check their attempt, they could definitely share the questions and the right answers to other students. So in most of the time, this is the best option to set, but definitely you can check certain parts if you want your students to review, if you want to give them that option to review their attempt in the quiz. Yeah, so you can definitely allow them to check the attempt or not. Appearance. So let's just click on appearance. So usually there's a picture while taking the quiz. So large, small image, decimal placing, grades, etc. Okay, next, extra restrictions on attempts. So you can require a password. So if it's not an open quiz, you can require a password. Set a password for your quiz. Require network address. So let's just click here. So quiz access may be restricted to particular subnets on the LAN or internet by specifying comma-separated lists of partial or full IP address numbers. So for example, you want to limit the access of the quiz to the DILNet network or the DILMAN network. You can definitely do that with UVLE. You can set that restriction. So if you're allowing multiple attempts, you can definitely enforce some delays between the first and second attempts and the latter attempts. Okay, so student cognizance of plagiarism policy. So I usually recommend to set this as must be acknowledged before starting an attempt. It's like a recognition that the student is doing the quiz, that he or she is the one that is doing the quiz. Some cognizance of plagiarism policy. So that's practically it. That's the minimum. So the rest are something you can explore, but definitely if you have to set, the important things you have to set in creating a quiz activity is the time limit, when time expires, open and close quiz, the mode, question behavior, and review options. You always have to check whether or not your students can see their attempts after they took the quiz. Okay, so once done, just scroll down and click Save and Return to Course. And that ends part 2. We're now at the last part of the 3-part procedure. So part 3 is inserting and arranging the questions within the quiz. So far what we have done is to set up the quiz, but we have not identified the questions yet. So to do that, you have to go to the quiz that you just have created. So we see here the quiz that I've created a while ago, sample quiz. Just click that. Okay, so you have here a button, Edit Quiz. Now you can also edit the quiz by clicking Administration. Under Quiz Administration, there's an option Edit Quiz. Okay, so you can click Edit Quiz here, or under Administration, Quiz Administration, Edit Quiz. So just click that. Okay, so our quiz is blank for now. So we should start inserting questions. So how do we insert a question? So you have here Add. So just click here Add, and then you can create a new question right away, but that's not advisable. So again, it is recommended that you have already organized your question bank before creating a quiz. Otherwise your questions will be disorganized and it will be difficult for you to use them in another quiz or in another semester. Okay, so keep your question bank organized. So for our case, we will take the question from a question bank. So just click From Question Bank. identify the topic or the category where you want to get the question. Say here, topic 1, multiple choice questions. Okay, you can add questions one at a time. You can put all of them to, or several questions at a time. So you just click them, check them, maybe. So check all those questions you want to include in the quiz and add selected questions. Then you have it. Okay, so let's add a few more. Okay, there's a third option, no, a random question. No, so if you have a well-organized question bank, you can create multiple quizzes with a single activity through this randomization mechanism. So if you click random question, it will only ask you to select a category, and then from that category, UVLê will choose a question randomly. So you can put here, let's say, 2 random questions. There. So page 1, first 3 questions, page 2, 4, and 5th question. They're random questions from the category for games short answer. So every time that the student attempts this quiz, those questions, 4th and 5th questions, will have maybe different, you know, from one attempt to the other. Okay, so let's examine the other icons in this page. So you can easily rearrange the questions. So you can drag and drop the question, or just click that move icon, so you can drag and drop them. Okay, if you want to separate the questions into different pages, just click this split icon here, or add page break icon, so that will instantly create a new page, or or put them together. Okay, so what's the number here? Okay, that's the default mark. No, so you can modify the point assigned to each question within the quiz activity. So each question has a default mark, but within the quiz activity you can change that. For example, you want this to be a no bearing question, it's just a trial question, you can put here 0 points. You want this to have higher points, you can put here 2 points. Okay. When you're editing the score, just click the pen icon, edit, and then don't forget to press enter when you're finished. Okay, so I'll just put them back to 1 point each. Okay, and then at the top, it's always best to have these 2 numbers agree with each other. Make sure that the total marks is the same as the maximum grade. You know, so if it's just a 5-item 5-point quiz, no, then the maximum grade should be 5. And that's the raw score. And then don't forget to click save. Next, there's a shuffle button here. If you want to shuffle the questions, you want them to have different order for different instances, just check this checkbox. Okay, so by default, if you check the shuffle option, it will shuffle all of the quizzes, all of the quiz items. So the entire quiz will be shuffled. Now, if you want to shuffle only certain parts of the quiz, then you have to construct sectioning. Now, you have to construct different sections of the quiz. So how do you add a section? So you can add a section in between pages. So let's say you want to separate the first 3 questions from the last 2. So here, click add, and then add a new section. There. So every time that there's a new section, there's a new shuffle button. So as you can see here, if I check shuffle here, I'm only shuffling the first section. Now if I click shuffle here, I'm only shuffling the second section. So if I don't want to shuffle the second section because it's already a randomized question, or it already comprises of randomized question, I just simply uncheck this part and then check this part for the first 3 questions, which means the first 3 questions are shuffled, no, or that they will appear in random orders in different instances. So that's practically it. So to test the quiz, just go back to the quiz, to the sample quiz. So as teachers, we can preview the quiz. So click preview. Okay, so because I've set the cognizance to plagiarism policy as required, you will have this message. So please read the following message. I understand that it is important that the attempt I am about to make is all my own work. So that's the plagiarism policy part. So you have to check this before you or before the student can start the quiz. And then again, it's a time limit. It's a time pressured quiz. So start attempt, then there you go. So you have the questions. Okay, so if I start a new attempt, we expect the order to change. So there, so the order of the questions change. So every attempt you have the quiz activity or the quiz feature will shuffle the first 3 questions, while the 4th and 5th questions will always be different from one attempt to the other, because they're randomized questions. That's it. So that's the 3rd part. So first part, question bank, that's probably the longest and most tiring part of building a quiz, building a question bank. The next part is setting up the conditions, parameters of the quiz. Last part, putting questions and organizing your questions within the quiz activity. Okay, so I will just like to emphasize that it is very important to preview the quiz before you open it to students. Check it first before deploying it to your students. Okay, so that's the end of the video demonstration. If you have questions, clarifications, open a ticket, ILC Diliman Help Desk. Just visit the site helpdesk.ilc.upd.edu.ph. That's it. Thank you for watching this video.